you enjoy talking about property maintenance? Do you like researching ways to maintain your property better? Probably not. How do most people deal with maintenance? Oftentimes, maintenance is dealt with as it comes up. As something breaks, we have to make a repair. And sometimes that is completely unavoidable. But as we look at maintenance, it has a relationship to property inspections. Why do we do property inspections? Now, when we think about this, oftentimes the owner may like a property inspection. They may want to see condition reports of the property. The occupant or the tenant may feel this is an invasion of privacy. This is my home. Why do you always need to be in my property? Why are you looking around at how I live? But is that really the purpose of a property inspection? Is that the main benefit of a property inspection? Yes, we want to make sure the property is in good condition, but there are benefits of routine property inspections that benefit both the owner and the tenant in the property to make the property stay in as good condition as possible and to help the tenant enjoy their stay. So what are these things that I'm talking about? Well, let's take 5. Maintenance is number 1. Property maintenance. Are you an expert on windows, window seals, caulking, flooring, plumbing, electrical, AC system, changes in county codes and requirements, problems, defects, lawsuits? Do you know some? Sure. But do you know all? Oftentimes we do not. So as we do property inspections, we're looking at details. We're looking at little things. Take, for instance, caulking in your wet areas. What is the purpose of caulking? It's there to prevent water from causing unnecessary damage. It's there to cover joints and seals. But what happens when that's neglected? Well, being that it's often in a corner, is it obvious? Not always. But yet when you're washing your hands, when you're washing dishes, when you're in the shower, that water is very well aware of those cracks. It's very well aware of those places that it can get into. And then we have unnecessary water damage that can develop over time. It could have been prevented. Now, that's just one example. There are many things in the home that by knowing what to look for, we're able to create more of a routine schedule, we're able to take care of problems, and we are able to prevent an enormous amount of maintenance. This helps both the owner and the tenant. It's a win for both people. Now, what about safety? Oftentimes in a house, a townhome, a condo, an office building, most safety concerns were taken into account when the property was built. So we're not talking a ledge that doesn't have a rail. We're not talking a fall from a step that was entirely too big. Those are usually not the case. But there are other things that happen. Today, we use far more electrical in a property than we did 30 years ago. Is the house designed to take the load that might be required today from a person who maybe works out of the house? Maybe there's a TV in every bedroom. Is the house able to take care of these? Because what can happen? There could be an electrical problem. It could be prevented. But do we know enough to know what we need to do? What about plumbing? Over the years, there have been different types of plumbing. They change from time to time. We're not required to re-plumb each time there's a new requirement on new construction. But as we get prepared for maintenance, as we get prepared for the what if we could make a change when a repair comes up that would prevent a possible damage that might be around the corner if we were unaware? These can only be discovered through property maintenance. What about preventing the damage when we find these issues? There are some things that are good to note. There are other things that need immediate action. There are some reports that might make it worth having a full-on home inspection, like you would when you purchase a home. Codes change. Problems are discovered all the time. A product today that is super popular and super common, and this is what everybody chooses today. Well, maybe tomorrow we found a problem with that, and now tomorrow we need to tell everybody to stop using that product. If we're not in the right circle, if we're not aware of what's going on, how are we going to know that problem? Over the years, electrical panels, types of electrical wiring, types of plumbing, types of siding, types of sheetrock, all kinds of construction materials have come up to either need a change or some have even been found to be defective. But if we don't know what's on our property, how do we know? It goes back to our property inspections. Now, oftentimes, an owner may look at a property inspection to make sure that a tenant is not being negligent. Yes, this is something that comes up on the inspection. But was that the first item we talked about? No. Most tenants want to live in their home. They want to enjoy their home. And even if they have a few more things than maybe somebody else, maybe the house isn't show-ready spotless. Does that make them a bad tenant? Absolutely not. But negligence is a little different. What do I mean? Well, if you have somebody who is abusing something and actually using it improperly, this now becomes negligence. This can cause things to break faster. And it doesn't necessarily have to be vindictive negligence that I'm going to destroy the property. It could just be a lack of education. In the state of Florida, with our AC systems, most AC systems are designed to change the temperature by about 20 degrees. So in the middle of summer, when it's over 100 degrees, do people have a problem keeping their house at 70? Sure, that can be a hard temperature to reach. But what about the person who's trying to keep that house at 60 degrees all year long? That could be a little abusive on the AC system. It's not designed to produce those kind of temperatures. That's going to create extra wear on that AC system. Does the tenant know? What about the ice maker in the refrigerator? It's meant to make ice for people to put in their beverages, but how much ice? Some of our ice makers even have a temporary function to create ice faster. But is that intended to be a daily use? Well, not at all. Overrunning the ice maker could make it break faster. It could be abusive on the ice maker system because that's beyond what it was designed for. So oftentimes the negligence that we have simply comes from not understanding. Do we take the time to educate the tenant? Oftentimes these property inspections can be a time to talk over a few points, whether we're doing the inspection with the tenant there, or even if we have someone else do the inspection, can we talk about some of the highlights with the tenant to help them understand the property that they're living in? Maybe this is the first time that they have lived outside of an apartment. Maybe this is the first time they've lived on their own. Maybe this is the first time they've lived in your city, in your state. Maybe they came from a different style of construction. That varies all over the country. These are not intentional, these are not willful, but it happens. And then what about understanding upgrades? Why do I need to understand upgrades? An owner is not going to look at making upgrades every day. They're not going to say, "Ooh, Baron, tell me what I need to upgrade each month because I just want to do it." No, that's not the case. But when things come up, let's say you do have the house that has cast iron plumbing or the old aluminum wiring or T111 siding on the outside of the building. Maybe you still have old cabinets with those nice Formica countertops. Maybe it's rolled vinyl flooring. These are all things that have changed over time. They all have a value. But at a certain time, is it worth repairing? Is it worth putting on a Band-Aid? Is it worth making a sizable repair when maybe now is the time to make the upgrade? How do you know when the time comes? Well, you need to know the property. You can look at statistics all day long, but unless you know the property, unless you know the tenants that have been in the property, then you will understand what is most valuable in your home. Solid surface countertops are great, but there's multiple types. Which one is best for you? How long do you plan to keep the property? Do you want to put in the popular luxury vinyl plank that so many people like using today? Is that the best option for you? These are details that come up. And even though you may not be doing the upgrade today, there will come a time when it needs to be done. Understanding your property, understanding the regular maintenance items that come up, and seeing what would be the best application for you. All of these questions, all of these items we've talked about, all center around a property inspection. So for our owners and our tenants, when we are doing property inspections, we don't mean to invade your privacy. We're not prying on the tenants, but we are looking after the well-being of the property. We want to make your stay as enjoyable as possible. And when the time comes to do work on the property, we want to be able to make educated decisions as to what will be best for the tenant, for the owner, and for the property. My name is Baron McWright. I look forward to talking to you soon.